Hey everybody. So I'm just doing a bit of an update for the channel today. I noticed a couple other channels doing sort of reflections on the year and what's coming up for next year. We're just beginning of December, but it seems to be that time. We all get kind of busy around Christmas anyway, and so I'll likely do another video about stuff that's going on in the new year anyway, but I just wanted to really just take a step back, talk about some of the games that I'm playing, what I'll be playing in the future and focusing on for the channel, prior series that I did this year, the sort of video series, and where I'm at with that, as well as what I've got to paint up, what I'm currently doing. I'm going to give an update on the goblins today that I've been painting, as well as the historical stuff. So it's just going to be a bit of a long video. I'm going to sort of cut the video and go to a table to show some models that are in the painting queue. Just talking about various stuff. It's just going to be a bit of a, I guess, a little bit of everything. And so, what I'd just say is, first of all, I apologize that I haven't been putting up as much content in the last 2 weeks. I have had a couple of videos out there. I was really sick last week, and I actually have some folks in my house that are sick this week. But I was, sicker than I've been in a while, and I just didn't really feel like doing anything, particularly painting the goblins. My head was just not, I didn't even want to look at small things, and so that's one of the reasons why I did the terrain video and worked on terrain for the rivers and did that showcase. It really fit because it was easy for me to do even when I was not feeling the greatest, and I felt like just doing something here and there. I guess what I've been playing, I played a Saga game recently, had a lot of fun. It was really, really good. I've been thinking about like what I've been playing over the last year, and probably the games that I've played the most this year would be Musket and Tomahawks, Saga, X-Wing, and Armada are probably the 4 games that I've actually played the most by far. And so I'm going to be continuing with all of those. Now, I don't really feature Armada and X-Wing on the channel. If folks are interested, I don't play competitively like with those. I play with, 1 or 2 friends, those games, and it's just to be able to put down a game quickly and play it and have fun. But I don't really get into the meta and all of that stuff very much. If folks are interested in that stuff on the channel, ask something specific and I'm happy to maybe feature it. But mainly I parallel my channel as a hobby channel with my painting, and that's the primary focus, and so that's why I don't really feature it that much. And those games are, particularly X-Wing, is so popular that there are channels that are almost fully dedicated to it. So I feel like I don't have as much to offer, in that area, because I don't have like 100% interest in it. And so Saga, I am going to be continuing to do a little bit of painting. I'm not expanding beyond my Anglo-Danes at this time. I really still feel I have a lot that I can do with them to fully explore the Anglo-Danes. I showed an update many months ago where I had some things to paint. I still have to paint those. I'm still using primarily my basic 6-point army. Although, having played it quite a bit over the last year, I just first played Scenario 4, the challenge. Like, it never came up when we rolled, and it was actually quite good. I wouldn't even really say I won the game. I won by the skin of my teeth. It was that close, and it was really that fun. We didn't really know what to make of it at first, because it was one of those scenarios where it's like your leader starts out really close to the other and fights each other in a duel, and we didn't really think it was going to be that exciting. But then after playing it, we realized that there are a lot of strategic components to the scenario and how all your other units work, and still generating Saga dice and things, and it was actually quite good. We were really into it. Keep on the historical vein. One of my biggest priorities over the next bit is to be playtesting Sharp's Practice 2. I've read the book twice. It is really different than anything else I play, and so I haven't jumped right into it like as fast as I did Saga as far as playing on a rule set. Saga is actually really different too. It's probably not a good example, but Saga was a bit more manageable in the basic rules, like for me to just jump right in, where I feel Sharp's Practice has lots of differences. I'm really looking forward to it. I think I'm going to try either this weekend or next week putting some models down and just testing it out. because I really feel like I need to do that in order to get a grasp of the rules. At this point, they're just sort of in my head and a little confused. I need to actually put them down and work those rules. As far as painting goes, I do still have a smattering of black powder stuff to just catch up on. I do have ideas of big units that I want to do in the future, although I haven't purchased them yet. But I have a lot of other painting to do. I think the one thing I'll be doing, you've seen this before, is doing a church, and I'll feature that on the channel. I'm going to probably do this as a distressed white church as opposed to just sort of a clean looking one. And so I'll probably end up doing quite a bit of weathering and things like that on it, and I'm looking forward to that. As you'll see, I have a lot of stuff to paint, particularly in miniatures and things, and so for the holidays, it's always usually a good time for an excuse to get new stuff. This year, I'm sort of taking it easy on asking/buying or justifying like holiday purchases, because I just have so much stuff to do already that I just don't really see a need. But there is one need that I have, and that is particularly for musket and tomahawks. I don't have any boats, and as you know, I just got all these rivers. And so my one hobby purchase for the holidays, it's one of these things where it's coming in the mail and like will be handed over to the wife, and she'll be wrapping it and putting it under the tree. But I'm getting some canoes and some river boats, to basically expand and continue to expand on the musket and tomahawks. So that's something that I'll feature. I'll do a review because it's company I've never purchased from before. I've never even seen their stuff up close. So I'll review their products either late December or early January. So historical stuff I'm going to be doing a lot of. I'm still kind of working with the local club that I talked about, getting that going. That seems to be going in the right direction. Like, we're working with a military museum to actually be doing gaming at a military museum. There are some contractual components to it and some things that have to be worked out for liability purposes that have kind of made it not automatically happen. And so I'm working with them on that, which will be neat because I have about 10 to 11 people locally that are going to be interested in either playing bolt action, musket and tomahawks, or saga, and there are a couple that are interested in sharps practice too. So I see those are going to be kind of the focus for it. But moving from there, I suppose I guess what I'm going to do now is sorry, this is obviously not scripted, but I did this year a video series, the Q&As, and what I've decided to do is kind of abandon the Q&As. I really appreciate the folks that asked a lot of questions, the ones that did that over and over. I guess I interact on a daily basis with a lot of friends on YouTube, and a lot of energy goes into that, and I enjoy that. Like, that's kind of one of the things I enjoy the most about it. So for and many of the folks that answered or I would ask questions were the folks that I do that with. And I really appreciate you guys like asking the questions. But so my time commenting and watching your videos, like, you guys know who you are and stuff, that is part of all of that and what I enjoy. But my producing of my videos, if like the greater audience doesn't want to see it, then I tend not to want to produce the videos. Like, because basically it's just, and it really didn't seem like it was as popular and really wanted, as my other videos where I'm featuring models and painting and battle reports and things like that. And so I've decided to just can it, just because if I get like below 5 questions, where I've got like over 1,000 subscribers, and if I got like 5 people, less than 5 people that are interested in asking questions, then it's really not that wanted, and so I've just decided to can it. At the same time, I mean, I do occasionally check into other people's Q&As, but I've been trying to just figure out time management, is even with watching videos on YouTube, and where I think I've decided to chop on all my friends' channels is the Q&As. So I tend to, there are a couple where I've supported folks that were just trying to get them going, and weren't getting many questions, but particularly for those that have like long Q&As and have like lots of questions and stuff, I'll dip in and watch them here and there, but I'm just not, I'm trying to watch your other videos first if I'm having to manage time watching videos. So So not only have I stopped my own, but I have not participated as much as in others as well. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just show my goblins, and then I'm going to talk about stuff that I'm going to be painting and showing stuff I'm going to be painting for next year. There is a new game on the table. I hate to say that, but it's just sort of a limp in of a small purchase just to try something with a friend, and so I'll show you that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the Marvel for those of you that are still interested in seeing the Marvel stuff, and I know I did get subscribers that subscribe to see Marvel, and so I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the Marvel game coming up, where it's gone recently, and what I'm painting for it, and what I think about it in reflection. And the only other last thing is I'm going to talk about is the Nick's New Year Painting Challenge, which I'm going to be finishing before the end of the year. That's going to be a big priority coming up, so I'll show that too. So, here we go. So this is where I'm at with my 60 goblins in HQ. I had some bursts of real productivity in getting a lot of these guys done. Where I'm sort of at right now is I'm working on details. I have like these two units. I've done the metallics that I wanted to do. I still have to do them on these, although these are archers, so there are a little bit less to do in that regard. But really, being sick last week, and really it felt like 10 days, it really slowed down my enthusiasm. And so I have jumped in on them again recently. My goal is for sure to get these done really quickly, to get these 60 and then start working on these. One of the things that really did amaze me in getting into the assembly line painting again is I haven't, since I can remember, painted 60 of anything in a while. And anytime you want to do the littlest thing, it seems like it should be such a little thing, like just painting the top of a spearhead or just painting some teeth or something like that. But if you're doing an assembly line, once you start to do it and you're staring at them 60 times in a row, and even if you just think, I'm just going to paint the eyes red, that's 120 eyeballs. And I realize for those of you that are really big in the hobby and do this kind of assembly line painting, this is common sense, but it's been a while since that sort of reality has hit me. I really did enjoy getting the green on them. I do have lots of sort of touch-ups and things that I've missed when doing 60 in a row. Like I have times where I've missed like a whole hand, like grabbing a shield or something like that. One of my favorite shows is Lilyhammer. It was canceled. It's on Netflix, but it has 3 seasons. I don't know how many of you are big fans of Lilyhammer, but I decided that I was gonna. I've seen season 1 like a number of times, and I decided I was gonna just pick up at season 2 and watch season 2. Well, after doing this assembly line painting for a while, and just going through the episodes of Lilyhammer, I just looked up and it was like towards the end of season 3. Like it's just amazing how fast time goes and how much time it takes to do all this. Like I'm still doing the base painting, but I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know you guys understand how that goes, but I'm really looking forward to getting to the highlighting stage, where I can start highlighting the greens up and doing some stuff like that. I thought I would try to just go straight through and get all these done, but I have to actually kind of take a bit of a break and put these guys and leave them on this tray. I'm not going to touch them, but I'm going to continue to work on them a bit, but I need to actually finish something that I'd started at the beginning of the year and took my time way too much with, and that's the Knight Titan for Warhammer 40k, where I did the sculpting of the cockpit. So I am now going to pan again to that project and show you where I'm at and how I'm going to get this done, before December 31st. And I'll likely just continue working on this in the meantime, give some updates, but that other project is going to become a priority real soon. So I'll pan over to the other spot. So this Knight Titan is still unprimed, and that's what I have to do next. The pilot is not glued in there. I'm going to paint him first and then glue him in, but I just wanted to give some perspective on the cockpit, just show kind of what I've done. Essentially, I'm going to just start painting him up like this week, and I'm just going to pull him out just to show what I've done here. But inside the cockpit, I use this to show sort of like a coolant, the top of a machine that got a bit of a coolant. This is really what is in the inside of a cash register tape roll. I have I put a cog back there from a watch. Now it's not like your 8-point cog, that's the typical Mechanicum, but it's just showing a piece of machinery inside. Most of the time this is going to be all covered up, but I just put a couple of pieces just to get a bit more of a mechanical feel. I have it there too, a piece there from a watch, and I have some computer screens that I've sculpted up, as well as just a main screen here. I am going to actually create some wires going to the head of the pilot as well once I actually get this. I'll be doing that more as a conversion afterwards. Once I get everything painted up and put in, I'm going to work on that. But yeah, so I'm not going to talk too much. I have in the past about the plans for him. I mean, he is going to be Legio. I guess, what is it? Legio it's with my Knights of Griffin, so it's Legio Griffonicus is the actual Titan house from the, I guess, Griffin 4 was the Forge World, you know, for those of you that are into the fluff. And so that is, it's gray and yellow are the primary colors, and so that's going to be what I'm going to be painting it up as, with a bit of a tribute to the Knights of Griffin, which is orange and black. Like, there's going to be some details on it that actually are orange and black to have that kind of tie-in. So, alright, and so what I'm going to do next is just actually focus on what's behind it and talk a little bit about the Marvel stuff. So I don't really think I've showed all of my purchases for Marvel this year. I set the Marvel stuff aside in September, and part of that was I did about, between doing the Marvel board and the buildings and finishing the Marvel buildings that I wanted to do, I did probably about 20 character models. And I was just really, as much as I love Marvel, and I really do, I was really needing a change. And so both I didn't really do much as far as playing the game as well as painting, and I still have lots of stuff to do. Now, I guess I'll show real quick what I've got here to do and to add to my Marvel stuff. I am going to continue with it, but I do have some reservations and that have added to my sort of wanting a change from the painting side, and it's just made me put it all aside this fall. And I'll talk about that, but I have Deadpool to actually paint up. I've had this one for a while. This was sort of an impulse purchase, even though at the time I still don't think there are rules. They've added some rules for some of the characters for Marvel, like Daredevil and Punisher, which is really cool because I have Daredevil. I can use him in the game now. But this is Elektra, and so I have a model for that to paint. You've seen Doctor Doom. I've showed that. I've got some glare here, I see, but I've got, I'll show them, Sabretooth. Really cool looking model. I really do love the newer stuff from Night Models. I've got Emma Frost and Jean Grey, which some of these just have really cool rules, really adding some new things to the game as far as like the mental powers and the telekinesis and stuff. One of the great things that I really thought came out was the first team of baddies for Marvel that came out. They have since released another one, but this is the Brotherhood of Mutants, and so you get Magneto, Pyro, Lady, Mastermind, and Toad. I'm really looking forward to painting these up and having these and using these in the game. And then lastly, like this, I don't know if many of you have seen this, but when this came out, and I just couldn't believe it. It looks really awesome, but I've got the Hulkbuster Iron Man, which I'm really looking forward to painting and setting this one up and using this one in game as well. Now, they have come out with another great team, the Dark Avengers, which has some characters that aren't as necessarily as familiar to everyone, unless like you're maybe into the comics. But it's sort of like meant to be a supervillain. Like, they have different factions in Marvel, and there's the superhuman, mutant, and cosmic, and this is where the Brotherhood is meant to be the baddies for the mutants. You know, the counter to the Avengers is the Dark Avengers, so they're the bad superhuman team. Now, I think it's probably one of the better things they've done, like, for the game so far, because they've introduced some characters that aren't just like from the cinema universe. Like, you're buying a pack that's very tied, I think, to the comic book universe, and that's really good because it just shows that, you know, the game's not going to just be like sort of like paralleling the marketing aspect of Marvel and the industry, that it will actually, you know, have a close comic book tie and maybe appeal to some more of the hardcore comic book fans. That's actually a positive for me, and it was one of the best things they've done. One of the things that I've had some reservations a bit about, though, is that since January, when looking at the rulebook the first time, I told you guys that it felt like early days and that like there was a lot to clarify, and you know, it was a new game and such and such. And while that's true and remains true, they're on their third version of the rulebook now. Now it is free, which is awesome, and can't complain about that. But the feeling that I've gotten is you've really got to keep up on it to try to feel like you're up on the rules. And for those of you that watch the channel and have heard me talk about this in the past, that's not a big positive for me. Like, where a lot of people like constant online updating, like, and just, you know, updating like rules for characters for the game and like for all this stuff. For those of you that may play more than one game like myself, or just don't want to be like constantly having to look at updates, I like my games a bit more contained, and that probably means they need to have a bit more work done ahead of time before publishing, even if it is free. Yeah, like the money thing is great, like you get something for free, it's awesome. But my ideal situation is having like a nice book that I can actually just pull out and play, then put it back, and then pick it up again and play, and not worry that 3 facts have come out since then, and that without them, like, the original scenarios weren't that workable, or something to that effect. And so I'm going to continue with the Marvel, and I'm going to continue to see where it goes. The releases for Marvel have slowed down a little bit. They were at like light speed and much better than I'd hoped for. Like, all of this stuff I didn't expect to come out this year, so good on them. And one of the reasons why I haven't gotten the Brotherhood is because I've just have so much to paint for it already, and the reservations that I've brought up. I will likely pick that up at one point someday. I am really interested to see where they go. Like, I'd really like to see a Doctor Strange model come out based on the recent movie. I'd really love to see this continue to progress. But I would say, like, I'll just be touching on it on the channel over the next 3 to 4 months. Maybe put up a bat rep, show some painting for it, but it's not like a primary focus in the way that probably Sharp's Practice or Musket and Tomahawks would be. And yeah, so we'll just see where it goes, and I'll be sure to show my painting for it. And then I have one last area that I want to show as far as painting. And so I'm just going to pan over again. So I mentioned that there was another game that I'd be dabbling into. I don't know how much I'll be featuring on the channel, and I only just sort of limped in with just a crew for Malifaux. I really liked the idea that it was based on cards, and it's a card game, like there are no dice. I like dice games, don't get me wrong, but it intrigued me, the mechanics that were in the game. Years ago, I actually wanted to explore this a bit. There didn't seem to be anybody that I knew that was playing it, but one of my friends had decided with me. He already had some stuff, and I said, hey, you know, I wouldn't mind just picking up one crew and trying it out. I have always looked at the Hoffman crew in Malifaux, whenever seeing Malifaux, as something that I would like to try if I was to ever play the game. I like the steampunky look. I like the look of Hoffman in general. You know, like this sort of gentleman that's got the... You can't really see it here, but he's got this sci-fi sort of harness. He's sort of an inventor, and he's got in his crew box all of these mechanized creations that work with him on his crew. I always sort of wanted, you know, to try this out. Now, for those of you that play Malifaux, you'll notice that I've got the old box, and so these are the metal miniatures in the old box. They've come out with some plastics in a different box, and it's got different cards in it for the updated second version of Malifaux rules. The reason I got the old box is I like it better. I actually... It has one less model in here, but the model that's missing, I purchased the old metal model for that too. I'll show that in a second. But I just really liked these metal models in this case better than the newer plastic ones, and they were easily available. There were a couple of places that still had the old set. So I got this. I got this, which is this is the Hunter, and so it's essentially another one of these cats that they show up here in the corner. I got a second one because you can take more than one, and so I got that. Then I got this guy. You can see a picture of him there. He comes as a plastic model in the new set, but in the old sets you had to buy him separately. He's called the Mechanical Attendant. So I've got that. And the only other thing I got, and this is the plastic model, is I got the Peacekeeper, which is just this large model that's a big kind of robot thing. You can see it right there. That's one of his larger mechanical creations, I suppose. I guess within the Guild faction, I guess is the name of them, other teams can use the Peacekeeper too. It's considered to be sort of like one of these, because the Guild are kind of like, I wouldn't say they're like Ultramarines, but they seem to be like within the Malifaux universe, like the main force that are trying to keep the law at bay within Malifaux, so they're kind of like, I don't know if any of them are good guys, but they're kind of like a main faction on the side of Order, I suppose. It's the way I sort of see them. And they use these things at times to try to keep order. So I've got those to paint, and so I'm going to paint those up next year. And early next year, most likely. And in order to play this, I bought myself a little Fate deck. And so this is like the deck you use kind of like dice, like to play the game. It's based on 52 or standard poker deck, but there are cleverly different symbols than like diamonds and hearts. Like they use other symbols, and so in order to use a regular poker deck, which you have to constantly keep in mind that a heart equals this or a diamond equals this. And I just said forget it, I'll just buy one of these. It'll just be easier. And then I got when the second version of the game came out, they very smartly but wisely created like a deck of cards where you could get the new cards for your models even though you have the old models. And so that's what these are. Like these have all the cards for the models for Guild. And so even for mini models I don't have, but I can use these cards to use the old models that I have here. That one should have the old model, so it should be fine. So it looks interesting. I don't know if it'll go by the way of Infinity, whether I'll just sort of paint it up and play it for a bit and then just stop. But I wanted to try just sort of like the new style. I mean, it's not new, but it'll be new to me, like this new sort of style of mechanic that Malifaux has compared to other games that I have. And so yeah, that's sort of what's going on right now, what's going to be coming up in the near future. So lots of Orcs and Goblins, working on my end of the year project with the 40K thing. Then I'll be likely doing a little bit of historical and most likely Malifaux after that. And then I'll be dipping into the Marvel as well. That historical will probably be some leftover miniatures from Saga and Musket and Tomahawks, but then it also will probably be this church that I'll be doing as well, and I'm looking forward to. So, alright, that's a long one. I appreciate you guys for watching, and talk to you later.